You know, somehow I managed to take what should have been a pretty straightforward video and turn it into a rant about government bureaucracy, bashing the Air Force, and going on about my love affair with the Marine Corps. Today we're diving into one of the most controversial topics that armchair airmen, never been aviators, and self-proclaimed aviation experts have argued over since the dawn of time. Is the A-10 Warthog still relevant? Literally, this singular question has haunted Reddit forums and ruined keyboards with Cheeto dust going as far back as man's first discovery of fire. Everyone's got an opinion and mine is always wrong, and when it comes to the A-10 Warthog, I am hands down the wrongest. The A-10 is ancient technology. One vodka-soaked Russian with a Temu drone could easily take it out. Tuh. You know how I know you're stupid? You call it the Warthog instead of the Fairchild Republic A-10 Thunderbolt II. If you were ever even in the military, you'd know that. Bah! You're stupid, your videos suck, and you're ripping off the fat electrician. We might as well start calling you the anorexic apprentice. That was weird. The hell just happened? Why does it smell like KY, Axe body spray, and disappointment in here? Regardless, the fact remains that love it or hate it, the A-10 still plays a vital role in our nation's inventory, and that there is nothing, and I mean nothing, with a capital FU that can meet the close air support demands of our boys on the ground. The hell does this have to do with the title of the video? This is clickbait. This guy's a clickbaiter. Actually, this has everything to do with the Super Tucano, and it all revolves around why the Air Force wanting to get rid of the A-10 is a terrible idea. And the reason it's a bad idea is simple. Close air support requires a special set of skills that, despite what they want you to believe, not every aircraft can pull off.
But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Good luck.
But since I'm not a pilot, nor have I ever shot anyone in the face before, I'll table my own opinions for now and turn to the experts that have plenty of experience in both. Alright, before we get into the how and why the A-29 could have been the answer to our CAS prayers, let's dive a little deeper into who actually knows how to do close air support right. Because believe it or not every branch prioritizes it in the same way. And when it comes to CAS, one branch stands head and shoulders above the rest, the United States Marine Corps. Now I know what you're thinking. You just spent the first 5 minutes of this video just roasting the Air Force. What does any of this have to do with the Marines? It actually has everything to do with the Marines, because if there is one group of people that eats, sleeps, and breathes the idea of aviation above, dishing out capital punishment below, it's the USMC, with an impressive track record to prove it. Don't believe me? Well, unlike your dad, I'm not here to disappoint, so let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we? Nicaragua, 1920s. A squadron of Marines found themselves in literally the best possible situation they could imagine to test out some new close air support tactics. They had enemy troops out in the open, friendly positions clearly marked, and an absolute lack of adult supervision, which I'm pretty sure you can see where all of this is going. The lead plane dropped his bomb so low that the next pilot in formation literally shouted he almost touched his wheels on the roof. And in true Marine Corps fashion, the other pilots couldn't be outdone, so they proceeded to follow suit, with each one trying to outdo the other to see who could release their bombs at the lowest altitude. Now let's fast forward to World War II, where the Marines were solving a persistent problem. Turns out when you drop bombs first and ask questions later, sometimes you're gonna miss more than you hit. Well, in order to get around that little problem, the Marines realized that in order to make CAS work, they needed direct coordination between the guys on the ground and the guys in the air. So they started assigning air liaison parties, or ALPs, which were basically early JTACs before that was even a thing. Or how about Iwo Jima, where 2 squadrons of Corsairs came in so low that they were basically touching Japanese fighting positions. Then we have Okinawa, where they utilized all the lessons learned from previous engagements and had no less than 700 Marine planes playing their part in over 14,000 sorties conducted and over 152,000 gallons of napalm dropped on enemy positions. If you're not getting the point by now, what I'm trying to tell you is that the Marines weren't just using CAS, they were defining it. Every single battle refined the process. Napalm, rockets, air-to-ground coordination, Marine aviators embedded directly with ground units. The Marines helped to lay the foundation for how CAS still works to this day. Now I could and probably should stop right there and return to talking about the plane that this video is actually about. But the closet devil dog in me won't allow that, so I'm going to continue to hammer this point home by talking about how they continue to innovate well into Korea and Vietnam. In Korea, Marine Air Group 33 showed up with Corsairs and even 4 early model Sikorsky helicopters, which made them one of the most self-sufficient fighting forces on the battlefield. Major General Oliver P. Smith put it best when he said, "Never in its history has marine aviation given more proof of its indispensable value to ground marines. A bond of understanding has been established that will never be broken." Furthermore, while Marines were redefining air-to-ground coordination in Korea, they were also introducing something brand new to the battlefield, something that would forever change the way that wars were fought. Now, up until this point, the concept of using helicopters on the battlefield had been more of a gimmick. They existed, sure, but no one really knew what to do with them. But the Marines, being the absolute savages that they were, decided to figure it out mid-war. In 1951, the newly formed Marine Helicopter Squadron 161 touched down in Korea, flying Sikorsky HRS-1 transport choppers. And it didn't take long for them to make history by, well, let me double check my notes. Oh yeah, here it is. They executed the first ever troop lift in combat. For the first time in the history of ever, Marines weren't marching for miles or storming beaches under fire. They were being airlifted directly onto enemy positions. It was fast, it was unexpected, and it instantly became a core part of Marine Corps doctrine. Now let's be real, this wasn't just some neat experiment that they shelved afterward. This directly led to the creation of Marine air assault tactics, which, as you might remember, would define warfare in Vietnam and later every modern conflict the US has fought since. Now listen, everyone knows the Marine Corps hits different, and personally, I struggle sometimes to put into context as to why that is. But this is one of those rare instances where the answer to that question is pretty simple. It's because from the very beginning, the Marine Corps aviators were already insane. Where's my evidence, you might say? Well, let me introduce you to Alfred Cunningham. In 1912, he became the first Marine aviator to ever earn his wings, and in doing so, also became the unofficial father of marine aviation. Cunningham was a known wild man, always willing to push the limits of his aircraft. And in fact, not 3 years after earning his wings in 1915, he attempted to become the first Marine aviator to launch by catapult from an underway warship, and it nearly killed him. Now, nearly dying must be a prerequisite to Marine aviation greatness, because General Roy Geiger was so fascinated by aviation as a kid that, allegedly, he strapped turkey wings to his arms and tried to fly off a roof.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Spoiler alert, it didn't work, but he did go on to command the largest Marine-led air-ground force of World War II. Now, I think I've made my point pretty clear by now in that the Marine Corps didn't just adopt CAS, they pioneered it, they perfected it, and they proved time and time and time again that if you want close air support done right, you call the guys who literally wrote the book.
We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
Well, that's all well and good, but that was way before we had high-tech surface-to-air missiles, radar so good you could see a hummingbird humping a walnut, and Wish.com drones taking out freaking tanks. Buh. Alright, 2 things. First of all, clearly you've never heard of concepts like the suppression and destruction of enemy air defenses. That's fine, that's fine. I know you're a little slow and we're going pretty fast, but don't worry, I got you. Now, here's how it works in combat. Controlling the skies isn't just important, it's the difference between winning and losing. If friendly aircraft can't maneuver freely, every operation on the ground, in the air, and even at sea goes into immediate hard mode. That's where SEAD and DEED missions come in. Side note, I've also heard it pronounced SEAD and DEAD. Whatever, y'all can fight to the death in the comment section over how it's pronounced in your neck of the woods. Anyway, these concepts aren't just routine airstrikes. They're deliberate, high-risk operations where US pilots go straight for the throat of enemy air defenses. Their job is to disrupt, disable, or to outright destroy anything that could threaten our friendly aircraft. Translation, once we take control of the skies, we keep it.
And I shoot all you motherfuckers, and then we take it. Your choice.
Now let's clarify a couple of definitions so we're all speaking the same language, starting with SEAD, which is the suppression of enemy air defenses. Basically, this is where we roll in, jam your radar, scramble your comms, and generally ruin your ability to function like a competent military. Think of it like hacking your ex's Netflix account and changing the password right before they start a new show. She might still have the TV, but it's useless now. Now, on the other end of the hate spectrum, we have DEED, or destruction of enemy air defenses. This is where we're just gonna go in and straight up delete your anti-air systems from existence before they even have a chance to be a problem. It's like SEAD, but with more explosions and way less room for you to keep breathing. Basically, what I'm getting at is that we are not, I say again, are not entering airspace unless we own it. And in true American fashion, we figured out a long time ago that the best defense truly is more offense. Alright, so what's our game plan then? Well, we're either going to A, blow up all your anti-aircraft equipment before you can use it, or we're going with option B, we're gonna bully you so hard into submission that you're too scared to even turn your equipment on.
Live or die. Make your choice.
And no, this isn't some theoretical concept that maybe possibly could work under ideal conditions. This is real. It already exists, and it's proven to work because America has been murdering enemy air defenses since World War II. America will try anything at least once if it means that we can molest you from above uncontested. Hell, up to 30% of combat sorties flown in modern warfare have been devoted entirely to seed. Even Tom freaking Cruise understands the importance of seed and deed. The man may have spent the entire movie violating every safety regulation known to man, but you know what he didn't forget to do? Bomb the ever-loving hell out of the enemy airbase before even thinking about sending his strike package after that definitely not Iranian or Russian nuclear enrichment facility. And in case you thought I was done making my point about how the Marines are more than qualified to have an opinion on how CAS should operate, well, you must be new here because I'm gonna beat this point into you like an abusive stepfather. This is straight from the Marine Corps Close Air Support Manual, so please, when I get done reading it, restrain yourself from running outside and mounting the first thing you find with tits and a pulse. Close Air Support, or CAS, is a Marine Corps innovation. Proper and timely communication and control are necessary if CAS is to be successful. To deliver effective CAS, an aircrew must be responsive, remain flexible, be familiar with the supported unit scheme of maneuver and understand the commander's intent, acquire the correct target, and place the appropriate type of ordnance accurately on target. Air superiority permits CAS operations to function more freely and denies the same advantage to the enemy. Air superiority may range from local or temporary control of the air to control over the entire theater. Suppression of enemy air defenses, or SEAD, may be required for CAS aircraft to operate within areas defended by enemy air defense systems.
God's lessons are so beautiful.
God's lessons are beautiful. I'm sorry, who put this fight together? Well, if y'all got an actual crazy person for me to fight, well, that's not fair to me. Or him.
Now, the point of me reading a bunch of Marine Corps regulations to you isn't to flex my 6th grade reading level across the internet. It is to really hammer the point home that the Marine Corps knows exactly what they're talking about when it comes to CAS. And more to the point, they understand that CAS in a near-peer contested environment is anything but simple. Now, I realize I've been ranting a lot about everything under the sun except about the primary topic of this video. And we're getting there, but there is one more problem we have to address first. Alright, so here's the issue. Now, I'm sure we can all agree that modern fighter jets are absolute monsters when it comes to raw firepower. But they've got one glaring issue when it comes to close air support. They're too damn fast, which is a sentence I never thought I'd say in my entire life, but here we are. And don't even get me started on attack helicopters. Are they formidable? Absolutely. But if you need them on target time now, well, I hope you brought a snack because they're gonna still be on the way. And to make things even more complicated, today's FOs, FACs, TACPs, JTACs, and plenty of other acronyms that I'm purposely going to leave out just because it's going to piss someone off in the comment section, they're all trying to do the complex task of coordinating all this chaos, often under fire, on the move, and half the time, they're trying to call in these strikes with the radio that was probably last service when Bush was still in office. So what's the solution to all this? Prop planes, baby!
Yeah, buddy! Wait!
Are you out of your friggin' mind? Are you seriously implying that those ancient slow Vietnam-era museum-ready crop dusters are what we need on the modern battlefield? Buh. Yes, I am saying that, and they absolutely slap in the casserole. Modern turboprops are fast enough to keep up, slow enough to blow you up, and cheap enough to be the CAS middle child savior that we didn't know we needed and probably don't deserve. Turboprops loiter for way longer than jets, which means that they can actually stick around and help to develop the fight. They're cheaper to operate than both jets and helicopters, which means that we can actually afford to buy a lot of them and the parts needed to keep them in the air. And unlike your 5th gen do anything kill everything stealth fighter that costs tens of thousands of dollars per hour to fly, these things will keep working even when the budget office starts to pinch pennies. And look, I get it guys, the military industrial complex has spent the last 50 years beating speed as life into the heads of every fighter pilot under the sun, and if we're in a dogfight, sure, mo power equals mo better. But when it comes to dropping bombs on baddies, slower equals precise. Now to be clear, this isn't about replacing jets or helicopters for that matter. I'm talking about filling a gap that's been ignored for way too long, and if the United States Marine Corps, the literal kings of CAS, are telling us that there is a better way to support the guys on the ground, well then, maybe it's time we all shut up and listen. Dude, what are we like halfway into this video and we are just now talking about the star of the show? The retention analytics of this video are going to suck, but whatever. I do what I want.
Whatever, I do what I want.
The A-29 Super Tucano was built to do one thing and one thing only.
Killing Nazis.
No, not quite. To deliver close air support in environments where fast jets aren't the right tool for the job. Different war, same concept. Anyway, this bird has been knee-deep in insurgent hunting season for years, with over 16 countries using it to solve its tricky little problems. And when it's not hunting down Taliban fighters, it's across the pond where it moonlights as a full-time cartel killer on the side. Brazil, Colombia, and multiple other South American countries have been using the A-29 to hunt down, intercept, and obliterate flying powder dispensaries. In fact, it's been working so well that if your coke prices went up recently, well, you can thank your local Super Tucano for putting in overtime. And the best part about this bird is that it is so damn effective that even SOCOM, you know, the people that you call when conventional isn't working, yeah, those guys took one look at the Super Tucano and said, give me those, I want that. But what exactly makes the A-29 so capable?
I thought you'd never ask.
For a plane that runs on literal tractor engine technology, it sure as hell doesn't fight like one. Despite being a mere prop plane, the A-29 can throw hands with the best of them. This thing cruises at 322 miles per hour, climbs at 3,200 feet per minute, and can even pull up to 7 Gs. That's literal fighter jet territory, which, to put into perspective, that's enough to turn your average pilot into a human stress ball if they're not ready for it. And the crazy thing is that it can do all of this while carrying some serious treats on demand. Let's start with the basics. The A-29 comes with twin Browning 50 caliber machine guns, one under each wing, 250 rounds per gun, for a grand total of 500 rounds of "this is why you don't join a terrorist organization." And if I've said it once, I'm going to say it 1,000 times. When John Moses Browning gets it right the first time, there is no need to mess with perfection. But as nice as those 50 cals are, they're not the reason this thing is so hilariously terrifying. The main attractions for the A-29 is everything it can strap to its hardpoints. In its light attack configuration, this thing can carry up to 3,400 pounds of external stores. Now, to be clear, we are still talking about a propeller plane in 2025 that can carry 70mm rocket launchers, 500 and even 750 pound bombs. And before you go thinking that this bird is just a fragile crop duster with guns, let's talk about survivability. The A-29 comes with armor protection, missile warning systems, radar warning receivers, and enough chaff and flares to throw off incoming threats. Basically, if someone's trying to turn this bird into a fireball, they're gonna have to work pretty damn hard for it. That said, the A-29 isn't just about brute force. This thing is smart too. This is a truly modern aircraft, complete with advanced avionics suite, multifunction displays, and even a HUD. It's also fully night vision compatible with the addition of an EO/IR sensor and a laser rangefinder. Basically, what you're looking at is a plane that sees all, tracks all, and eliminates all with pinpoint accuracy. Now, a lot of planes pack a big punch, but what makes the A-29 so good is that it doesn't just show up, it can stick around too. With up to 8 hours of loiter time on internal fuel and even longer with aerial refueling, this thing doesn't just fly in, drop its load, and dip. It hovers around like your ex, waiting for you to make a mistake. Sorry, I am being extra salty this video. I'm just mentally preparing myself for the backlash of all the A-10 deniers and aviation Karens thinking I give a about their opinion in the comment section. And also, actually, sorry, not sorry. Anyway, alright, so we've established that the A-29 Super Tucano is an absolute menace in close air support, counterinsurgency, and anti-cartel ops, which begs the question, if it's so damn good, why didn't the US buy more of them? Well, that's actually a funny story.
Funny how? What? Just, you know, you're funny.
So back in 2009, the US Air Force had one of its rare moments of clarity and thought to themselves, hey, maybe instead of flying $100 million stealth fighters to bomb guys on mopeds, we could invest some of this money into low-cost counterinsurgency aircraft that are actually built for the job. Well, now that Captain Obvious has entered the chat, this prompted the creation of the Light Attack Armed Reconnaissance Program, which was an attempt to field a cheap, effective, and easy to maintain turboprop for coin and CAS missions. And with that in mind, the field was narrowed to just 2 contenders, the A-29 Super Tucano and the AT-6 Wolverine, which was basically a glorified T-6 Texan II trainer with some weapon strapped to it. Well, in an outcome that surprised absolutely no one, the A-29 absolutely wiped the floor with its competition, winning the contract fair and square. But because this is America, the government did what it does best and decided to ruin everything.
Trying to help you, Michael.
God, you're very helpful, aren't you? You try to help everybody.
Yep, Congress stepped in, started bickering over contracts, and essentially delayed the program into irrelevance. Then came budget cuts, because why spend money on something practical when you can dump another few billion into the F-35 program? By 2020, the whole thing was officially canceled, leaving just a handful of A-29s in the US for training and testing. Now fast forward a few years, and SOCOM took one look at the entire situation and said, alright, fine. If the Air Force won't get a dedicated turboprop CAS aircraft, then we'll do it ourselves, which prompted the creation of the Armed Overwatch program. Alright, let's pause here for a second, because believe it or not, the Armed Overwatch program was actually the 7th time the US military tried to field an off-the-shelf turboprop for light attack and reconnaissance missions. You heard that right, 7. Anyway, the A-29 competed again, and this time it had some stiff competition, mainly from the Sky Warden, which is basically a crop duster that got tired of taking shit and decided to start fighting back. Unfortunately for the A-29, SOCOM decided that modularity and ruggedness mattered more, and they went with the Sky Warden instead. Now, don't get me wrong, the Sky Warden is a badass aircraft in its own right, but the fact that it took this many attempts to buy any prop-driven attack aircraft is absolutely mind-blowing to me. So on the rare off chance that someone tells you military procurement is efficient, just remind them that it took us 7 tries to buy a damn off-the-shelf prop plane. Let's get something straight before the A-10 fangirls and haters start foaming at the mouth. The A-29 Super Tucano is not, I say again, is not a replacement for the A-10. It's not. But sometimes the cheaper tool gets the job done just as well for a fraction of the price. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. Not replacing, but adding to the toolbox. The A-29 Super Tucano isn't here to take the Warthog's job, but it could be used to fill the gaps where the A-10 isn't needed. Because let's be real, America isn't hurting for options when it comes to airborne destruction. I mean, we got B-1s, B-2s, F-15s, F-16s, FA-18s, and even drones. But the fact of the matter is that these are not only expensive as hell to buy, but also to maintain. Hell, you could probably run an entire fleet of A-29s for the cost of a couple of F-35 sorties. Sometimes speed and power isn't what's needed. There are instances where what you really need is to deliver a minimum wage ass whooping. The A-29 is the embodiment of keep it simple, stupid doctrine. It doesn't have to be the flashiest, the fastest, or even the most high-tech. It just has to work. And when it comes to stacking bodies as a hobby, the A-29 makes a damn good case for itself. Alright, so after all the bureaucratic nonsense, the budget cuts, and missed opportunities, it's easy to assume the A-29 got completely shafted by the US military. But believe it or not, this story actually has kind of a happy ending, at least for the 3 we did buy. Now, instead of getting mothballed into oblivion or sold off to some random country for pennies on the dollar, the 3 A-29s we purchased actually found a damn good home in the United States Air Force Test Pilot School at Edwards Air Force Base. Now, for a while, the A-29 sat in storage while the Air Force considered selling them off to a foreign military. But TPS leadership saw an opportunity, stepped in, took ownership of the aircraft, and repurposed them for training and research instead of letting them disappear into bureaucratic purgatory. These also happen to be the first new aircraft the school has received in nearly 3 decades. The A-29 is now being used to train future test pilots, giving them hands-on experience with low-cost, high-efficiency CAS platforms. And honestly, that's a way better fate than being locked away in some hangar gathering dust. The A-29 Super Tucano isn't the aircraft that got away, it's the aircraft that never got a fair shot in the US military. And while the US military may never give it the love it deserves, at least the 3 we did buy are in good hands. And really, that's the best ending we could have hoped for. Well, that's it for today, guys. Let me know down in the comment section what videos you demand of me next. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, or don't. Last I checked, we still live in the greatest, freest country that has ever been. Y'all take it easy. CT6 out.